I mean, I've heard that's very much like the Rocky Horror Picture Show like thing. That's like how they go with that. There's a bunch of stuff to do during those, and that at least feels like it's a cult movie with like a cult following and all of that. Where
Yeah, I've done the Rocky Horror thing many times.
yeah, I've never seen it. I've never actually seen Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Really?
Yeah.
We need to check that like now.
Yeah, I'm down. That we just turn this into watching
Honestly, yeah.
just
like,
a reaction
seriously, you need to
video.
watch it.
Just reaction video too. I've never made a reaction video.
Hey
to
guys,
something.
we're watching Rocky Horror.
I know. Gasp. No. Is that a man? Is that a man?
Sit there for a while. Eventually, I'm just like, Janet. You're like, wait, what? I'm like,
Yeah.
Janet. Start doing the things. You're
Yeah,
like,
I
what
know.
are you
Yeah,
doing?
exactly. Yeah. I don't get it when it's just one person.
Zero context. Me just randomly saying shit.
Oh, it's so good, actually. I'd do that. It sounds entertaining. Weirdly enough, I've always wanted to do a react video because they seem pretty straightforward and pretty simple. You watch thing, react to thing overly. Sounds kind of fun.
Yeah.
Because you get all like the people like something would happen, and if I'm normally watching it, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. But like in a reaction video, it's like, oh my god, holy shit, look at the thing they're doing. He just bought a hamburger. Jesus Christ, man, what a fucking crazy man. It's like, oh, okay, all right, I love this.
He's eating fries with it. Oh, I never thought about that. Oh, it's genius.
He dipped a fry in the shake.
I do that.
You relate. That's pretty good. Oh man,
too good.
That's too good.
Man. Yeah.
Oh well, we were talking. What you want to talk? We're doing figures today, right?
Hello, everybody. Well, welcome to Otaku Flavored. I'm Jay Lewis. Here, as always, with Savage Bear.
Yo, perfect.
Yeah, there we go. It's actual intro time, and then we ruined it by talking about it, and it's no longer a thing. And why? Why are we so terrible, Bear?
I don't know. I absolutely love how it always just comes out of nowhere nowadays. It's like the best. We like warming up, getting ready. Next thing you know, it's like, welcome everybody to the intro time where we do the thing.
Big of an inside joke for everybody else, but hey, thank you guys for coming back multiple times and watching all of our BS, because we're definitely full of just BS.
Yeah, that's what we like to do. I mean, it's a good time to get it out, to hang out with you guys, have you guys all check it out. Hopefully it's somewhat minuscule entertaining. I hope they can get a laugh out of there every once in a while.
One day we're gonna end up like accidentally being live, or somehow just leak our pre-reporting podcast and thing at some point. People are gonna realize just how like absurd we are before the whole podcast even goes live, and why we are so just bum rushed to actually start the show.
I know we're like stuck here talking for like an hour and a half before we actually start like recording. And it's like, oh God, oh no.
Maybe we should go live. Should we go live? Yeah, we should go live.
Yeah, right. Should we do this? I don't know. Have we? It's always weird too when we're talking like pre and just talking stuff, and then something absolutely hilarious happens. I'm like, God damn it, we probably should have just been recording this entire time. And I don't know. A lot of times we're recording all the time, but does it make it in? I don't know. That's up to me at this point. But
yeah,
not always.
It's whatever. You guys don't need to know everything we talk about.
Yeah, of course.
But I wanted to start saying stuff because I wanted to talk about what we wanted to talk about this week.
Yeah.
Which is
What?
Figures still in box.
Oh.
This is a topic that I got on with my chat about the other day. And people have strong opinions about, and I wanted to know your opinion about / I want to know everybody's opinion down below and know if I can change it at all. But I have a legitimate issue with the people who want to keep collectible figures in box for monetary value.
Yeah.
And I don't know how you feel about just in general, just keeping stuff in box, or if you keep stuff in box, if you take stuff out of box.
So I had like a journey for this. It's kind of weird. I basically used to keep everything in box. 100% kept everything in a box. mainly because I don't know. I thought maybe one day I'll sell this, and since it's in its box, it'll be worth more money. Which, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily true for all things. I mean, some things, if you have it in box, can be worth more. But as far as figure goes and things like that, what broke me was what is it? Was the Mii's, the Nintendo what is it? The little, God, why can't it like escaped me? I looked over at it
immediately the second
and I was like,
wanted to say it.
But those
yeah. I know what you're talking about. The little Nintendo.
God, why can't I think what they're called? Right?
Wow, we are terrible.
Oh my God,
this is great.
No,
this
dude,
this is why we don't go live.
Wait a second. What the hell are they called, you guys? I feel like I'm dying. I feel like this is one of those things where you like it's on the tip of your tongue, or you should know what the hell they're called. But edit this out, editor. I'm not looking them up right now.
I really wanted to say Nindoroids, but it was like they're not Nindoroids.
No,
here. What the hell? And
right?
they're not pop figures. They're other small things. I have a bunch of them as well.
God damn it, what are they called? Amiibos.
Amiibos. There we go. Okay, so Amiibos.
Right. Amiibos. That's what I was talking about. Yeah. So Amiibos were the things that pushed me over the edge to open them, because a lot of those literally are figures that are in a box that are cool. Sure, maybe they're worth more in the box, but you can't use it. Like, you get special stuff for scanning in your Amiibo, but you can't use it in the box. Shovel Knight is one of the only ones you can, weirdly enough, but almost all of the other ones have a little bit of foil that's over it to prevent you from doing it. So it's designed that way. You can go in and cut a little slit in the back of the box and go in with tweezers to pull off that thing, but I never was going to be that hardcore.
No, and that also sounds like
technically also damages the box
already.
Yeah, already out of box, exactly. And so, yeah, I bought a bunch of Breath of the Wild figures when they first came out. I actually got the whole series of them, and you can use them to get different items. And I was like, oh man, I could keep them in the box, resell them someday, they'll be worth more money, and then I could not keep them in the box and use them and get stuff now and actually get entertainment out of them. And I was like, oh, this hurts. So yeah, I totally broke them out of the box. 100% was like, this is the better deal in the end. Besides, those sell very well outside of the box. So do most figures.
Most figures do, yeah.
Strangely enough,
figures sell amazingly outside the box. Or if you've kept the box, people do appreciate having the original box with it, even if it's already opened or whatever.
Yeah.
So the Amiibos things, like, I actually knew people that would never open their Amiibos as well, and then I even met some people who would buy two of them, so that way they'd have one box and one open.
Yeah,
I was
that
like,
a lot too.
you're all crazy peoples. Like, I get it, but like that takes up a significant volume of space to have an entire collection of those. And then the people that really blew my mind, and this was only further confirmed when I went to Comic-Con one year, is people who collect pop figures still in boxes. And I know somebody's going to call me out for having unopened boxes in the background. Shut up, that's not the same.
That's not the same. Okay, weirdly enough, I just want to stick on pops for a second. Pops somewhat makes sense to keep them in the box, especially if you have a ton of them, because I knew someone who collected just pops, and they had an entire wall dedicated to pops, and they stack very well in their boxes.
I guess that is true, because there's no real way to display them otherwise.
Yeah, you'd have to do shelving and do a bunch of other stuff to display them the same way that they had them.
If you have that many pops, though, you have a problem.
Yes, I do agree. I mean, as far as, weirdly enough for me, pop figures are like the ugliest figure. I don't care, at me, say whatever you want. I don't
like them.
I just don't like it's like they tried to do chibi and stopped halfway in. They're like, you know what? Let's just make their head big and look absolutely dumb. And I'm like, no, please.
It works on like 1% of the figures I've ever seen from them.
Sure, yeah. I do.
The ones that want big heads, yeah.
I think I do. I have one back there. And then
I have two Marceline figures.
I have
back
one over
there.
here.
2 Marcelines, 1 Alien, and the Lilo and Stitch and Angel ones and whatnot. So like I do have some back there. So I can't say I don't have pops, but
Yeah, same.
I like all the ones that I do have. Their looks. The rest of them all do look dumb.
Are they open?
And also, all but one of them right now.
Okay,
which is I'm gonna just.
Have you ever got yelled at for for opening pops? Because that was like one of the weird things for me. Like I took this was a while back though. Like I was posting my collection of figures I had, and someone was like, "Dude, you have a pop outside of a box? How could you? That ruins the value of the pop and all of this stuff." And I was like, Jesus Christ, you guys!
They're like Beanie Babies, guys. They're never gonna be worth anything. Come on.
Well, I think
this is where somebody tells me the Beanie Baby that's like $10,000. Screw off.
Yeah, well, the weird thing about any of those is, yes, they're not going to be worth anything until no one has them again. Like, once everyone's got rid of them, the craze is gone, and like all of a sudden, people who were collectors of those nostalgia out because they sold half their collection because they had to pay a mortgage or something like that. Like, those people, once they get back on, will want them, and they might be worth money. Maybe they came up on a bunch of money. There's a really rare one, and now it's worth a bunch of money, but weirdly enough, figures that are like pop figures or that are like ice brand as like actual collectible figures, I don't think hold their value necessarily that well.
No, I've always gone with the rule of if it's marked as a collectible, it's never collectible.
Yeah,
and that's just kind of like a honest truth. Like, don't buy stuff that's like limited edition, 100 like left, and it's like that's never going to be worth what you think it's going to be.
Unless it actually has like directly marked on it how many they have and how many they're going to make.
They're never worth it in the long run.
Well, sure. Okay. I'll agree with that. But I do think those hold better value than something, let's say, like that says it's a collectible and then they'll print as many as they possibly can, basically.
Right. Well, okay. So I wanted to tiptoe around this for a while before I got to it because I was like, my idea is like, take something out, enjoy your life, enjoy your time with something. And I guess before I get to that rant about it, I should probably go on about why I think you should do it in the first place.
Yeah. Okay.
And the whole thing about like people who are like, oh, I want to collect it for monetary value because they're like, it's going to be worth something one day. It's like, for people who just like stuff in a box, sure, I can't understand that. That's fine. You do you because you like it in the box or you get something out of it. But for people who are like only there for the money and would rather enjoy the figure outside the box that they want to, right? But they're like, no, I'm keeping it there for monetary gain.
Yeah.
The amount of money you're going to make off of that figure or the lot of figures that you own in that space of time by the time that you turn around and sell it is something that if you were doing it for purely the money alone, you could easily have made 10 times that amount of money doing literally anything else. Like,
sure. I mean,
that money you've tied up into that figure and then stored at your house and maintained is way worth, like, you're spending money by doing that.
Yeah,
you're spending your time, your effort, the seller fees, the shipping, the fact that you bought it in the first place. Like, you're not going to recoup your costs on that thing ever by the time that you go to sell it. And
I feel like you're
open it and have fun with it. Like,
your return on investment for figures that are just staying closed that you're trying to sell, I don't think it does necessarily very well because you either write a hype where this figure came out in a limited quantity, it was pre-order only, there's no more pre-order, now it's worth 2-3 times as much, but it'll slowly go down and then it'll maybe spike later once everybody like realizes, oh, I can't sell this figure, no one's buying this figure, I need to keep lowering the price. And then those people maybe way later on something might happen where Pokemon becomes hype again, or some IP. I think Pokemon will always be hype, but like maybe some obscure IP that you're into all of a sudden skyrockets and becomes hype again and shoots up the price of your figure, because that can happen. Like that happened, another Amiibo thing, but that happened with the Link Amiibo from Smash Brothers. It was like MSRP forever. So basically it was MSRP or less, and all of a sudden Breath of the Wild came out and he gave Epona. So all of a sudden everybody wanted this figure, and it went from MSRP of like $25 or whatever. I saw it going for upwards of $500 like immediately after that game released. because everyone
Yeah.
wanted it all of a sudden. So sure, maybe if you're really lucky and you're holding onto a figure, but even in that case, the figure didn't matter if it was open or not. If
Yeah.
anything, it was worth more probably unopened. I mean, it was worth more opened because people were trying to use it. So I don't know. It's a weird case. I
Throwing that though is like, even if you buy like a $20 figure and it goes up to $100, that's a huge amount of return on it. Like, most people aren't trying to get like that huge of a return on something, right?
true.
Or like something from $100 to like $500, whatever, just a 5x return on whatever you go for. I still guarantee you that by the time that you turn around and sell those things, like all these people who hoard these things, you could have used that $100 to have generated way more, but that's not what people are trying to do. And it's like a weird scam thing, I think, that in people's heads, where they think that this is how you can make money,
Yeah.
and it's not. And I get that people are like, but I made $400, and it's like, but if that's what your goal is, there is other ways. Heck, even if you were to just buy several of those figures brand new out of the thing, wait for them to go off for pre-order, then relist them for X amount more, like, you're going to make more money by selling them off, recouping the money, buying another group of things and selling them off, buy and sell.
Yes.
Like, there's other ways to generate money so much better than. So I don't know where this perpetuated lie of like, you should invest in figures, it's not the return that you're looking for. And if you
Yeah.
wanted like a big return from it, the amount of figures you would have to buy and own is ludicrous. Like, making, I get that to some people when you're young, making $100 sounds important, sounds great, sounds flashy, but, and for a lot of people, yes, $100 could be nice right now for a lot of people.
True.
But if $100 is necessary for the first place, don't buy the figure. You'll get more of the $100 by utilizing it now, and you'll make more money by using that $100 in something more lucrative, anyways. So
Yeah.
it's just one of those things where, like, collecting figures should be for fun and for your own personal interests.
Well, I think
And that's why inbox just doesn't make sense to me.
I think it's in the name right there. You're collecting figures. Like, you're collecting them. So if you're collecting them, it's for your collection, and you should hoard them like a dragon, basically. And I'm totally okay with that. Like, have as many as you want, get all of them. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you're storing something in box because, yeah, you're trying to keep it for monetary value and trying to resell it at some point, and it's going to be that much more, just keep the box. Like,
Yeah.
a lot of these things with their box is what people really care about. They don't really necessarily care about like a brand new factory sealed complete in box. Weirdly enough, it's also for games in some ways. I remember like some games, if you had them factory sealed, they're basically not even worth anything extra. So one of our local game stores, if they found out that yes, this is selling for absolutely nothing better, they would end up basically opening it because it would sell better opened than factory new. And that's just because some people who want to play that game won't open it, and it'll sit there sealed. But if you open it for them, all of a sudden this person comes in and they're like, "Oh, I can play that game." Like, it's brand new, it's complete in box. It once was factory sealed. Not saying this is for everything, because of course you have your outliers that are like, if you came across like a complete in box of any like major title, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But your obscure like truck racing game or stuff like that, you have a collection of all of these PS1 games that are completely sealed and stuff. The obscure ones aren't worth anything more just because you have them sealed. So it's weird. It's a weird mindset that people get, thinking since it's so fresh and brand new, like, I don't know, like, yeah.
No, it's a very weird thing. And I mean, like I said, at the start of this, if you enjoy something in the box, and that is like your enjoyment of the item, keep it in box.
Of course.
I don't understand that part. I enjoy posing and looking at my things or using them. That's me.
I have a caveat to this too, personally. And then if you don't have a place to store it currently, and you're just keeping it basically because you don't have room, you bought it because maybe it was a pre-order and you knew it would shoot up in price and you don't want to pay scalper prices once it comes out, yeah, keep it in the box, store it, do whatever you need to do. But once you're going to display your figure If you don't have a reason to keep it in the box, yeah, break those
That,
guys
I
out.
mean, the ones that are in a box back there are simply because I don't have room for them. There's figures standing on top of them because I'm
Exactly.
using them as a stand. Like,
Exactly.
it's literally like I have too many figures. So, like, I do understand keeping some stuff in box,
Me too,
but
especially
I'm
square
not
boxes.
keeping it in box for value.
Yeah.
It's not that.
If you're like, that was the other thing weird about Amiibos. It's really hard to display those in box. Like, those boxes do not sit nicely on top
Oh,
of each
no, they
other.
do not.
So anything like that, anything that's in an obscure box, or anything that, like, I mean, the ones that always hurt me the most are the ones that don't have like a window or anything, so you can't even see the figure, and it's just the box, and they're just displaying a box that's like just the box of the figure.
Displaying the figure.
You could just be displaying the figure. You could even be displaying the figure in front of the box. Like, that's actually something that I really do like when people do that type of stuff. For certain figures and things like that, you can see, oh, they do have the box, especially if you have an expensive figure. You most likely are going to get caught on boxes. Did you ever keep boxes?
Yeah, I actually have kept a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
That's actually a thing that I try to do. When I moved from my last house to here, though, I was not living in that house for a month at one point. I had lived in, or I wasn't living anywhere else. I just went and visited somewhere for a month, and when I came back, apparently mice got into it and destroyed them. So I lost a dozen plus boxes, and that really, really sucked. So I just yeeted them all out of nowhere. I also lost figures out of that too, which sucked.
That sucks. Yeah, because rascals they love plastic, man. They'll eat anything. Yeah. Those things are brutal.
So I came back to my entire room was destroyed because I just left it vacant for a month.
Yeah. That's so sad.
No, it really sucked. And also, yeah, so I got rid of so much stuff. And then I just slowly started building some stuff back up and had few boxes for other things. But what's the most you've ever spent on a figure?
Just recently, I spent $1,400 on a figure.
I figured that's why I wanted to ask that.
I bought it. I know it's really okay. It's okay. Price is such a weird thing to me too, because there's some people I feel hesitant to even say that to. Like, I don't know. It's really weird when someone asks you how expensive is that figure, and you're like, I mean, I don't necessarily want to tell you because you're gonna judge me. Like, I feel this. You guys out there, sure, judge me in the comments below. Let me know. Jay, I feel like, I don't know, maybe you do judge me for buying such an expensive figure, but
not at all.
But it's one of those things where I know the enjoyment I'm going to get out of it. I knew what I was getting myself into. This is definitely a limited run of things. I'm lucky enough to be able to afford it right now. So all of those factors together, yeah, I was like, why not? This will be my centerpiece for my collection once I have a better place to store it and put it out. It's definitely... It's going to go over here, and I'm going to have to figure out a way to actually display it better so you guys can all see it during stream and stuff, because, I mean, it's going to be extra sad to think that there's a $1,400 figure just sitting right outside of everyone's view.
Also, though, at that point, that's when you start getting into things that are probably going to start being worth actual money at some point.
True.
You know?
That is true. Yeah.
Like,
one of the figures that I, like, wanted really, really bad that I could never afford was it was like $1,000 when it first came out, and now if you go look at it, it sells for $2,500, $3,500 because it's a collector's item. There's not a lot of them necessarily. They're gigantic, and not a lot of people want these things, and the people who want them are going to spend a lot of money to try to get it, basically.
That's a whole nother thing too. Is like, how many people do you know that are in a market to buy a figure that's even $100 in the first place?
No, that was my first threshold. Weirdly enough, getting into figures, I set myself, all right, $100. If it's over 100, don't even look at it. And now my threshold's a lot higher, and I need to come.
I still have that threshold. Like, I have a hard time spending. Like, there's a figure that I want right now that's $160.
Yeah,
and I've wanted that figure for. I think I saw it like 2 years ago or something like that now. Maybe even longer, and I've constantly stared at it, and I'm always like, I want this, and I still never spend for it, even though I'm pretty sure I have a couple figures back there that are $200 ish or something like that.
Okay.
Like, I do have figures that are worth money, so it's not like I haven't spent money on the figure.
Yeah, same.
But it's one of those things where it's like I still have a hard time pulling the trigger at $100.
Yeah. I
But
I completely feel that. I still have, I will say I still have my threshold at about 100, 150, because above that you start getting into like, is the figure worth it territory, weirdly enough. I feel like some figures that are going for upwards of $200, even over the 100 limit, like some of them aren't necessarily that much better than the 50,
that's
$70,
really the problem, right?
which is the problem. Yeah, there's some figure manufacturers that I don't understand how that figure is going for as much it is.
Yeah, and especially because you do find other brands that are selling some like figures that look like the $100 figure that are selling for like $15, and you're like, of course I'm going to go for that one. And of course you're running the risk at that point of like the paint job not being that good.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, like, I want the figure to enjoy it. I'm going to take it out anyways. I'm not like, as long as it looks good enough, I'm happy.
Yeah. And then you do also run into like basically people making like fake figures and things like that are
There's
like
that too,
your
yeah.
figure. That's the one that you really, really want, but for some reason this one's like $35 versus $100, and you're like, why? And then you end up getting it and you're like, oh, I totally understand why. Like the face is all messed up, or maybe like,
yeah, don't buy fake figures. I definitely stay away from that.
Yeah, don't.
Even at conventions, I ask to see the figures usually before I buy them.
Yeah, don't buy counterfeit figures. It weirdly enough, unless that's the only way you can get a figure, I do have some figures that should not exist, and they're my SpongeBob.
Yeah, I've seen your cursed ones.
Yeah, they're my SpongeBob figures. I have Patrick right here. He fell down the other day, so I have him right here. But it was one of those things where there's no way that these actually are made by either people who owns the rights to SpongeBob or the rights to One Piece. But you know what? I thought they were absolutely a must-have in some ways because they're funny to me. And sure, like supporting that market, I didn't invest that much into these. These were really cheap for what they are. But yeah, some counterfeit figures, I feel like it's the only way to get something silly that shouldn't exist. But
yeah, support small artists that make random crap sometimes. Sure, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like what Etsy's all about in a lot of ways. Like,
oh, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, or your artist alley at your conventions when those finally reopen again or something.
Yeah.
You know,
I always loved to wander artist alley and just see what people would have. There's some really talented people that, I mean, sure, using other people's IPs to like push forward whatever they're doing, but at the same time, it's really sweet. Like,
I mean, sometimes it's the only way to make money as an artist if you're not signed up by a studio or something like that. Like, I totally get it.
Yeah, I could see that.
These are all fan artist paintings behind me.
Yeah.
So posters and whatnot, like, yeah, you know, whatever. I support those. Also, a lot of times they look way better than official things you could buy anyways.
So, yeah, that's true, actually. Is there anything when you're shopping for a figure that you look especially for like characters and things like that?
I mean, so I try to not buy figures that are just not my already favorite things that I know I'm gonna like 5 years from now type of thing.
Yeah,
like, I want a figure that I know is gonna be something that's like, I still like this IP, I still like this. So I don't try to buy things like right off in the beginning. Like, if there was an eye figure from Egg, I wouldn't have gone out to try and buy that until after the show finished airing. And I generally stand by that in general. So if I know there's going to be season 2, sometimes I won't buy a figure. So I try to only get things I know 100% that I want to care about long term. The only figures back there that I have that aren't that are my 3 Love Live figures that I have behind me. And I can't remember their names at this point, and that's really lame. But I was really into Love Live for a little bit because I like that type of anime.
Yeah,
Sue me.
Yeah.
I like idols. I don't like them anymore, except for Zombieland Saga.
Like, whoa.
That one's dope. Zombieland Saga, I jump on that train all day. But yeah, other than that, that's really what I tried to do, is just get figures I know I'll want 5 years from now.
Yeah. I mean, that is a really good like benchmark to put yourself at, because I do feel like some people, once you start collecting anime figures, you're like, ooh, I like this one, this one's pretty. Depends on what you're collecting for. Maybe you're just collecting beautiful waifus and you see one and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna add to my collection. I don't know what you're from. I've never watched it, but I like the way you look, and I know 5 years from now I'm still gonna like the way you look. But yeah, it's weird how certain IPs and things like that I can't see getting a figure necessarily for
Yeah.
just because I like the IP or whatever it is. It's like it kind of needs to stick with me to want to get it. I think the only impulse buy I did recently was, I can't think of her name, which kind of sucks, but the pink-haired girl from Laid Back Camp. I got a figure of her basically because it went up on Crunchyroll, and I was like, okay, pre-orders is that's where you get me. I swear to God, if a pre-order goes up and I think in my mind like, oh, I'm never gonna get this figure, and I kind of want this figure, like, oh, it sucks. Like, curse you, pre-orders.
Laid Back Camp's good. I have figures from Laid Back.
Yeah, Laid Back Camp that's the other thing. It is a good anime. I do see myself enjoying it enough. I haven't started season 2, but I know that, yeah, I know it's good. Yeah. I know what I'm getting myself into.
It's very good. You know what you're getting. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What you signed up for is exactly what's delivered each time. It's amazing.
And then the one thing I personally always look for in figures that I'm buying, because a lot of the figures I'm buying are just like humanoid basically, but faces, because man, like the figure may look really, really cool. It might look awesome, absolutely like beautifully done, and then you look at its face and it's like, oh no, this looks nothing. This looks nothing like the character whatsoever. How'd you screw up the one part that I'm most likely going to be drawn to? Because I mean, as human beings, we are drawn to faces. So
yeah, no, for sure. There's that definitely happens, and that is something I do look for as well.
It's so sad. It always makes me laugh when I find like a really sweet figure I would love to have, and then I'm like, but that just does not look like the character that I really would like to get. You just look so
some
dumb.
Sculpts are very generic, that's for sure.
And yeah, it just makes me wonder, it's most likely, just like the sculpt artist not handling that part well enough.
Yeah, or even then just like using a pre-generated model, like face and things like that also occurs, and then they just add the hair on correctly. It's like, I don't know. I imagine there's got to be some jank going on at some.
I imagine
somewhere.
As well. Yeah, because a lot of these are mass produced. I mean, figures. Of course, you're not getting your handmade figure until you hit a certain threshold of level. Like, and then that also gets weird. That's one of the things about getting the expensive figure that I started realizing is that this thing it's handmade. How much of it is handmade? I mean, it's most likely going to be sculpted in some way and then formed, but.
Yeah, so they're reproductions of the one that was hand sculpted, probably is what they mean by that.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. It's interesting. I'm definitely. It's weird getting into that market. I'll keep you guys updated. Check me out on like Twitter and Instagram and all that. I'll definitely let you guys know when it comes in.
When you get it.
Yeah, hopefully, dude. By the time I'm getting it, which is forever from now, I think it's gonna be being delivered in like July or August. Maybe we'll be out of all of this, and you can come by and actually check it out.
Maybe that'd be nice.
That would be cool. Yeah, because man, weirdly enough, this thing's goddamn gigantic. It's like 2.2 feet tall. Like, and I can't remember how wide and stuff it is, but it's like, this is gonna be large. It's gonna take up the majority of that area over there. Like, what am I gonna do, you guys? What have I gotten myself into?
I have that cardboard cutout in the corner of my room, and even that's like too big to have in here. I don't.
I used to have a cardboard cutout of Snake in my room, so I totally understand. Like, just cardboard cutouts take up so much space. It's like having
things,
It's like having a person standing in your room at all times. That's a cool one though.
I want more big figures though too, but
yeah,
you know. They're hard to have space for.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully one day I'll be able to afford a place where I can actually display these, because those to me feel like a centerpiece for your house. Like, some people have like a nice vase or like this cool table that has like china set up, or like that was like our parents' generation or whatever. Like, walking into my house, it's gonna be anime figure. Like.
Yeah, I get that.
Full sin. That's my aesthetic. Let's go.
my downstairs is kind of that way. When you come in, there's figures there's things going on down there that's just like, I'm an otaku.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, you might as well.
I was gonna call myself a weeb, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure, we're that too. No.
Yeah.
Don't deny. I feel like, is there any sort of IP that you wish you had more figures from?
That's a huge, yeah. So for the love of everything, make Space Patrol Luluco merch
Oh
that
my
I can
god,
buy.
straight up. I agree with this now that you've made me watch such a good show. It needs more merch. Like
It's
uh
like, sure, I want some fully cooling merch and a few other things, but like I can find some knockoff fully
sure.
cooling merch or knockoff other stuff, but I can't even find knockoff Space Patrol Luluco stuff. Like there's nothing out there,
You
and
gotta
it sucks so hard.
you gotta
And
write a letter to Studio Trigger, be like, hey, by the way, do you have any sort of anything lying around the office that's Space Patrol Luluco? I will pay you. I will spend money for this.
there's a $200+ Nindroid
Oh
for
yeah, the Nindroid.
her
Yeah.
that like I could go get that, sure, but I hate spending that much on one of those, and so that's not worth it to me.
Is it because you know what the MSRP for it was, and then
Yeah, it's like I know it should be $50, and so it's one of
yeah,
those things like spending
it's a weird
an
one.
extra 150 on it just is like no to me, and I don't want to do that.
I kind of feel that too, because there was a Charizard figure that just came out recently, and it sold out immediately for pre-orders. And then if you go to eBay right now, a bunch of those people who pre-ordered the figure have doubled the price. And yeah, I guess, I mean, I could spend the extra like 120 tacked onto it, but it's like, oh man, why? I don't want to. Like, I really want the figure. But at the end of the day, I could live without the figure than knowing I paid an extra or twice as much to this dude. Which
I really do have a aversion to the idea of paying somebody money because they got it first.
Yeah.
And that pisses me off.
Which kind of comes back to what we were originally saying about keeping in box and all of that stuff to resell. Like, the people who are going to rebuy your figure most likely don't even want to necessarily do it. Because, like, I absolutely love this Charizard figure. I would easily pay maybe an extra $20, but an extra 100, like twice doubling it. Nah, dude, I've never. Once you go over that, I feel like it's too much. We're too far gone. Like Nindroids, I can't see doing $100 for a Nindroid.
I've spent $100 on Nindroids when I'm still buying them from a store that I go and I see a store has it and it's marked up. I'll buy it from a store fresh, but I won't buy it from a person fresh.
That makes sense. I mean, especially your local store and things like that, knowing that you're helping out and keeping it up basically is a little different than
it feels not scummy buying it from a store. It doesn't feel like somebody was a douche who bought this for monetary reasons.
I feel that.
Jerks.
Weirdly enough, like as far as buying it online, I don't mind necessarily either if it's like an old figure, like the Space Patrol Luluco. If I knew I could burn an extra 200 and I loved that series, I could see still doing it. But because it's just been out for so long and things like that, this dude isn't necessarily buying it brand new and trying to turn it around now and selling it. It's that type of person to me that hurts, because I'm like, if you didn't buy this to resell it, if you just let me buy it from the website that was originally selling these things, I could have got it at a better price. I know you're trying to make money, I get it, but at the same time, like, what the hell, you guys?
But screw off.
There's a better way to make money than scalping my goddamn figures, okay? Like,
there really is. So there's two things I want to bring up. One, I wanted to say that there is places that I do buy used figures from. Some of those that I have behind me are used because I buy out of box a lot.
Yeah.
And for people who want to say, they're like, oh, I'm afraid it's going to get damaged. Don't. There is literally places that will buy broken or damaged figures for parts and replacement pieces.
Yeah.
So there's markets out there for that. There's even markets where I buy, like, I'm like, oh, I want just this face for one of my Nindroids. There's markets for those where you can go and just buy just the face alone.
Yeah.
So there's use to figures far beyond the fact of like just needing a whole figure. So that's a whole thing that I wanted to at least tell people about, because a lot of people don't know about that. So there's that. Yeah. But then there's Oh god, I was trying to get back to this other idea before I lost it. Oh no. Oh no.
You had two things.
What happened?
One was parts for figures. Was the uh, while you're trying to figure it out, one thing also that I actually really think that's interesting that people do for figures as far as reselling purposes go is when they do like repaint jobs or like do
those are
and stuff like that. I think that's really cool. I mean, that would make a lot more sense from a reseller standpoint, because I would even pay double price for a figure that you had bought at 120 that you put the effort in to make it look cooler just so that I can then buy it. I know there's a person recently that I was looking at that does Gundam models and does basically custom commissioned Gundam models where you buy the kit, or you pick out the kit basically and they buy it, and then they'll assemble it, they'll get it all perfect, they'll paint it for you, and then they ship it to you. And now you got your sweet custom Gundam model that you most likely never could have done, because I mean, I'm not an artist by any means. So
I used to do that for Warhammer stuff. Like I will paint figures for people too. Like that's actually a thing I've done in the past and don't offer anymore, but like that's a reasonable thing to do. A lot of people can't paint their own figures, so that's completely reasonable.
Yeah, that's where I feel like reselling and things like that, like I would rather invest in than anyone who's flipping anything or stuff like that. Do you ever buy like kits, model kits anymore? Have you done like a Gundam or anything as of recently?
Oh, as of recently, not in the past like 3 years.
Okay.
I think it's been 3 years since my last model kit.
Yeah.
For Gunpla or those ones. Yeah, so I've done Warhammer figures recently, but that's different. I don't know.
That is definitely a little bit different.
Yeah.
Not as many. Actually, I haven't built a model for Warhammer in a long time, but I feel like it's not as many steps because a lot of it's ready to go out of the box.
Yeah, you've got like 3 things to glue together, and then once you've done that, it's just painting.
Yeah. Whereas like, your Gundam models you're actually building. I made the ships I made one of the ships. I made the tiny version. Actually, I made the tiny version of one ship from One Piece, and now I have the bigger one that I need to actually go finish building. I never find time. Like I always start these and I'm like, sweet, and then I never find time to like end up finishing a lot of them, like the bigger kits or things like that. Like
I have to do them in one sitting. That's always my thing. Like if I don't do it in one sitting, I won't finish it.
It's not a bad idea. I have one right now that I should finish. Like now I'm thinking about it. I got Sandrock Gundam, and I should totally finish that. I like these guys though. I have one like sitting right here on my desk. They're like these little chibi Gundams. These are a lot of fun. You can easily do them in one sitting. They actually look really, really pretty. I don't know, just stuff like that. I do enjoy making my own figures sometime. Would I paint him? Maybe someday. Maybe I'll pay Jay to paint him, but
So there was a Gunpla what's it called? A Gunpla style like game similar to Warhammer that I've played before. Ooh. So I have a bunch of figures that I've painted just for that. That was really, really fun.
That's cool.
So I don't remember what it's called. If I can find out what it is, I'll post it in the links. If not, then you guys can look it up. But it's a miniatures game played with the actual like figures and whatnot, and it's very interesting.
That's cool.
But
I definitely
there's a lot of games out there like that I think a lot of people should try.
Yeah, I think models and things like that were something that I always wanted to get more into. I did play Warhammer for a bit there, which is, I feel, very similar in a way to getting into collecting anime figures. It's not cheap.
No, it is not.
And there's more work involved in that than there is collecting anime figures. A lot of your anime figures you're not building. Maybe you're switching out a head, or they come with multiple hands or something like that. I remember one of the snake figures I have, it came with a ton of accessories. And I hate it in some ways because I never know what to do with them. I get it looking the way that I like, and now I'm like, I have like all of these extra accessories and stuff. I could throw them in a drawer, like put them in a bag.
So that's the thing, like you can kit bash with them and make something else later with bits and pieces. Ooh. Or you can sell those on the open market. Like that's the nice thing about.
Oh, that's true.
People want those extra bits a lot of times.
Yeah.
Sell them.
That's actually not a bad idea. I wonder if for me, it's just lost in the ether. There's so many things and bits that I'm like, oh yeah. It's like, there's, Legos is easy because you just throw all your extra little bits and pieces in a box and then they're forever together. But
Yeah.
for some reason, anime or like figures in general, I feel like I can't mesh these all together. Probably can. I mean, it's not like, oh no, I need to switch out this dude's hand. Now I have to go through a shit ton of like pieces to find this dude's hand. I'm not upgrading things enough for that actually to matter, but.
Or you can also do what some people do is embed magnets into their hands and into their heads so you can change them out over time. So that's another thing some people do is, and I do that with larger figures, is I make them to where it's like, oh, I want this figure to have this weapon loadout in this game or whatever, and then you just make it all interchangeable that way.
Oh, that's kind of neat. I wish more figures would even do what you just said in general. That would actually be really sweet.
Oh, for sure. That would be nice to have more figures that you could change out things
Dude,
on.
if
I mean, that's part of the reason why I like Nindoroids so much, is the fact that you can change out all their bits.
You can change out, yeah, pretty much all of them. Plus, I feel like Nindroids have a nice, cute aesthetic to them for the majority. They're basically the opposite of Pops, where there's like the 1% that doesn't look good, and then the 90% that does look good. Or those percentages don't add up. Don't ask about what the extra 9%. But
hey, we're not math people. It's fine.
Oh man. There is one thing that I thought, because I knew we were talking about figures. I just got a boxed in this fucking, what is it, Banjo-Kazooie, and I thought I'd open it on stream or on video so that we could all get over this need to keep this sealed together.
Yes, hell yeah, crack it.
It's one of those things where, yeah, it's like, I know
I wanted to see this.
I know it kind of hurts.
It.
Yeah, I know it's one of those things. Sure, it's like, it's nice. It's limited edition. I don't know if I cut this. I don't know if my knife was sharp enough to actually cut this.
This plastic struggles.
Actually open. I don't want to actually. It's weird because I don't want to damage the box necessarily. Because yeah, we talked about that. You can keep the box, but oh, look at that. Oh, I'm gonna be able to
pull the boxes. They store easier that way.
Oh, I'm gonna be able to actually display it now. Oh, this thing's sweet. Oh wow, this is actually so much cooler than I thought. That's the other thing. You don't know what it's like in the box. Wow, this thing has heft to it.
You don't really get to enjoy it until you've taken it out.
Let's go. I got 1510. I don't think you can see that on there, but number 1510 out of 5,000.
Hell yeah.
Let's go. I like stuff that they only make so many units. I know it's not going to necessarily increase the price all that much, but it adds reason for me to buy it.
Yeah.
I tell myself later that I would never have gotten this. Like, it also came with
sometimes
a cool
it does
stand.
matter, sometimes it doesn't.
Oh man, I don't know how the stand goes to. Oh, I know how the stand goes together. All right, well, I will post stuff about this later for you guys to check out. But this now, you guys all got to see the Banjo-Kazooie opening. Open your figures, all right, you guys. Open your collectibles.
Enjoy
to display
them.
Yeah, it looks so much better on my desk over there instead of just in a box. So, like...
Unless you like the box.
Unless you like the box. Okay, sure.
I can't understand that. That's fair.
I like how you're like, that's the only reason is if you like the box.
Yeah, well, that was a part of the discussion that I had with somebody. They actually like them in box. That's fine. That's different. If it's for monetary value, learn economics. Figure out how to make actual money.
Yeah.
Stop trying to do it with figures. And just enjoy the ones that you buy.
Yeah. Whatever you guys don't scalp figures. I swear to God, if any of you guys watch and scalp figures, I'm gonna find you. It's the worst. You're the absolute worst. But weirdly enough, yeah, I definitely feel like there's no real other good reason to keep your figures unless you actually enjoy them in being displayed in the box. Yeah.
Oh, I remember what I wanted to say. There was when the Star Wars stuff came out. This was one of the things that I hate the most about scammers, or skimming people who scalp. There we go.
Yeah.
Is there was a person that I went to a Toys R Us, back when those existed. I was with a friend that really wanted to go in and get a figure, and they're like, "We got to go stand in line because I want this figure." And it's like, "Sure, whatever. I'll come hang out with you." And when we got it in there was a person who brought a shopping cart full of because they were first in line. They just shoved hundreds of even the same figures in shopping carts and brought them up there and bought them all. And then they were like, to the rest of the people, they're like, "We sold out." And it was just like, a big fu to the whole thing. My friend didn't get his figure, all the stuff and whatnot, and we were talking to one of the employees about it later, and they're like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, come back in 2 weeks, and that guy's going to return 80% of those." Because that's what they do. They buy them all, list them, and then what they can't sell, they just bring back to the store and use the return policy to get their money back. And it's bullshit.
That's even worse.
If you're that person, I want to hurt you so bad.
That's even worse than what I even thought it was like whatsoever. Yeah. Because it makes sense. They're not going to just sit on the stock. They're going to sell as many as they possibly can to make their money, and then, oh no.
So all the people who missed out on day one now have to go get it from the guy who bought them all. And then he's not going to sell them all because most people aren't going to do that. So he's just going to burn them back all in the thing. And you're a garbage human.
Oh, dude, that's the worst. That's definitely the worst.
Like, there is literally better ways to better and easier ways to make money. Trust me.
Yeah.
Don't do it that way.
I think the sad thing too is that, especially for figures that you know are limited run or are like pre-order only, so they're going to batch it basically. So how many ever people ordered, they're going to make.
Yeah.
Or even like in store, your store's only going to get this many of whatever it is, and that's all they'll ever get. Having someone come in and buy multiple of any of that I just feel like such a dick move. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's Toys R Us, so they're not going to care. They're not going to stop somebody at like two per person.
Yeah, it's not like your local shop that will actually make sure that someone's not coming in to buy this whole stock so that they're loyal customers and things like that. Another reason to support your local game store, all right? Like, they got your back a lot of the time for a lot of this stuff. But
that's a huge thing. There's a lot of times where like a local game store like knows like, oh, you're the person who comes in and buys X thing every single time. You're the person that we're gonna just hold one for. That's the thing that like I've known a lot of things for. They're like, yeah, we had a dude who drove like 6 hours to the store to ask for this thing, but we're like, no, we know you like Alien. We held you the one last Alien figure because we'd rather have local Jimmy get the figure that we know he's gonna want versus the guy who like, never shops here.
That just came in here because he knew that we had stock of it and it's super hype right now. But I don't know.
I've known a lot of people who do that, who go from store to store buying all the extra ones they can to go flip them and whatnot. Stop it.
I think I haven't ever necessarily bought an extra thing that I knew I kept in box to try to flip. Usually I'll keep something in box if I want to display one and keep the other one, like basically keep one in a box and then keep it displayed and then keep another one that's outside of the box so I can still play with it and see with it. That I kind of understand. It sucks because you're buying two things, but yeah, I think the only things I've necessarily done that with recently was the Game & Watch for Mario.
But still, like,
I know,
like I was saying, like, you're never gonna make your money off of it the way that you think you will.
Well, I'm not keeping it to sell for money necessarily. I'm keeping it for my own collection as a sealed thing because I think it's cool. I think it's like, I don't think those are gonna all of a sudden skyrocket in price, and even if they did, I don't think it's going to be because I kept it sealed in a box that it's going to skyrocket in price for. The other thing, recently I bought Hades for Switch, mainly because they're only doing a limited run of it, and then I'm buying the digital copy of it. So I already own the digital copy of it, so that's a little bit of a thing too. Like, I mean, I don't mind opening it and playing it, but yeah, if I'm not going to because I have the digital version, I'm not going to open it and play it. So those type of things I kind of understand more than buying something just like one of it and never opening it, because you're not going to get any enjoyment out of that necessarily. But if you have it,
but you're not, I still don't get the second copy because you're not going to enjoy the second copy.
Yeah, I guess it's more for like, I guess, no, it's true. There's no reason to keep it sealed for me for a lot of that stuff. The weird one, I guess, I'm getting caught up on is the Mario Game & Watch one. You're right. Like, why do I keep the extra one sealed? There's no reason to. I could keep it in box. Like, I could keep the box basically, but there's no reason not to open it and play it. Maybe where, I don't know where those are. I'll have to break those. Those are like even in storage right now, so it's like it's even worse. It's like,
no, I mean, I think it's just the thing to apply going forward is just like buy stuff to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Life is short. Enjoy it.
Because
If you want to make money, trust me, like, hit me up in the comments. We'll talk. There's the ways to make money. There, you want to know how to make some money? I'll show you how to flip some stuff.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. Let's figure
it's
out
out there.
better than me trying to flip these Mario Game and Watches 30 years from now and they're finally worth something. But yeah. But I mean, even look at me. Like I've done this. Like I have been in the mindset. I don't know why it happens to us, but a lot of us think, oh, it's gonna be worth more money someday. I need to keep it in a box. I need to keep it sealed. Part of it, I think, comes from seeing other things that do skyrocket in price because they kept them sealed. So you think, oh, if I do that to this thing, then that'll happen to it someday, which isn't true. Like
Yeah,
most
it's a fallacy.
things, most things are not. It's like anything, though. Sure, like if you had, I actually can't think of anything. The thing that came to mind was what? Earthbound. If you had a sealed factory copy of Earthbound, like that thing was worth a lot of money.
How much is it worth though?
Not a lot anymore because they made the digital version of Earthbound.
Right. So those things, but like it's
but
one
even
of those
then,
things. Like
I think it was only like $1,000. I want to say, not even necessarily worth probably the amount of enjoyment you would have got out of opening it and playing it as a kid if you sat there as from when you were 11 years old to like 20 or something.
Sold it earlier, recouped the little bit of money, reinvested it in something else. And that's the thing that I think people don't understand is liquidating your items to make more money off of them by buying more things and generating that flow. Like if that's truly what you're doing, you can generate more money by using that money than you could by letting it sit.
Yeah.
Like if you've ever let something sit for longer than like 4 months, you've sunk your time and effort in like having that somewhere. Like you could have used that $100 somewhere else. There's a reason why stores will sell stuff at a loss if it sits in their inventory for too long.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of stores that are like, oh, this has been close to a year that this has been here. Sell it for under what we paid for it. We need that money so we can buy things people actually want and sell it off. And like there's a reason why people do that. You don't hold on to stuff like people who are like a Black Lotus or something like that. Like when it spiked to $1,000, sell that thing. And they're like, oh no, but it went to 2,000. It's like that's not where you make your money. You don't sit on something for 25 years to have made that money. And yes, it's a little bit different because it's small. There's reasons to have done it, whatnot. But there's
sure.
There's so much better ways to just generate more money long term, and there's very few items that do come out worth it in the end.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the big takeaway is that the majority of the stuff that you are probably thinking of holding on to that'll skyrocket or whatever most likely won't. Like looking at Beanie Babies and things like that. And it's one of those things where you're better off just becoming a store. Like you're better off thinking like a store would than you are. If your goal is to make money off of these investments that you're investing in, your return on investment for how much time it takes for the return on investment for most figures and most things like that aren't even near worth what keeping it would be for. You have to pay. You may not have to pay rent because you're not a store and you don't have extra, but you most likely do pay rent for your house and you're technically storing it in your house. So that little bit of space that you have is worth technically something if we're going to look at it from a business standpoint, which is what you should probably be doing if you're trying to resell figures at a higher price. But
realize you're not a store. You're not trying to really make money. So open it and enjoy it. That's enough said. That's enough said about that. Moving on to other things.
Yeah. Oh man. I definitely. I wonder, how did you feel about this? We're gonna hop into Wonder Egg, I think, right now. I think this is
yes. Wonder Egg is the time. Yeah. We're here.
Yeah, we're here. This is it. So,
what episode did you see last?
10. I'm trying to do like one at a time for these. Basically, I didn't see.
So I've watched 11 as well.
Okay.
So, but I can comment about just 10.
That's fine. Yeah. What the fuck? What the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Like
the fuck.
Like death showed up? Was that death? I can't even, like, she succeeded and her friend disappeared and is now free as a spirit.
Yeah, this is the problem about the fact that I've seen 11.
I know. I like how
I will try not to spoil things.
No, I don't care. I literally don't
will
care.
not
Weirdly enough, at this point.
Oh, that's why you should have just watched the other one.
I know.
I'm at a point where I don't care either. So I will tell you the next episode is actually an episode that I liked.
Okay, well that's a plus.
And didn't hate.
Okay.
But in just 10 alone, I hated so much.
Yeah.
This is not what we signed up for. This is not at all even the realm of things that I wanted from this show. It is so far gone that it pissed me off. And I will say that the next episode makes it better, but not a lot. And just knowing that there's one more episode left to go, there's no way the show wraps up. There just isn't a single way. And I'm not going to watch the season 2. Fuck off.
Yeah, I do wonder if they're setting up for a season 2. I really do.
I don't care. I don't want to watch more of the show. I want it to be over already.
This last episode for me, or episode 10, like it's just got rid of so much stuff that they basically ruin how you feel about a lot of what's been going on for the past 8 episodes, whatever it is. But
I love how much we praise this show in the beginning, and it is.
It's really funny watching our this is a roller coaster ride, and we peaked. All right around that midpoint, we peaked, and now we're on the downhill. And normally the downhill, you're supposed to be like, this is thrilling and exciting, but this is like the most depressing.
No. Yeah, this is like we got to the very top of the ride and realized that it's not a ride.
It just
over.
flats out and it's over.
Yeah.
You get off. You get off in a little bit. You can even see where you get off. You're like, oh, wait a second. We just climbed.
I thought we were going to go all the way back around. And they're like, no, you have to get off and walk back down the hill. And you're like, oh.
No,
well,
dude.
This sucks.
Oh, my God. Yeah. No, I feel like if there is a season 2, it's like, no, you get off here and you wait in a new line to get back on to potentially go. You can't even see what the rest of the ride looks like. You're like, oh, no. I just know it's going to be flat for a bit. Maybe there's a drop. Like...
And it's like the whole time I'm just like, man, I signed up for this roller coaster. I wanted a roller coaster. Why didn't you give me a roller coaster, you asshole?
Oh my God. This one, like, it actually did talk about certain subjects that are kind of interesting, but it just dabbled on them and kind of sprinkled it in instead of like actually meaning anything. And then, just threw away a lot of potential instantaneously with their decisions
my God, if a writer is out there and they ever listen to this, if you, for the love of anything, decide to be like, oh, have a character, don't you guys want to know about the things? And then the other characters ignore them and just leave. That's the biggest slap in the face I've felt in so long.
Oh my God.
They literally just reached out the screen and said, hey, you want to know what's going on? No, you don't.
No, straight up, actually, yeah.
And it's just like, ow, stop. It hurt. It was the biggest insult ever, and I hated the show for that moment.
Yeah, it's so weird how this show was one of those that I was so unbelievably hyped for. We loved it. Like, you could tell, I really want to just go watch older episodes of us and how excited we were for this show, just so I could relive those moments, because those moments were good. Now looking back on this show, I definitely, depending on how this ends, most likely will become one of those shows that I'm like, I don't know if I recommend this. I most likely
it's already a show I don't recommend now.
Yeah, I mean, I always like to give it until the end, because maybe it can do something. But I don't think it can. I just recently finished Kids on the Slope, and that ends beautifully. And I don't think this show's going to be able to pull anything near how beautiful of an ending that was. So I'm just...
Well, here's the problem. Like, with the show, like, the show for a while was treating the things in it that it was touching on, the subjects, very respectfully, and was treating it in a way where I thought like it was appropriate for people who even have problems with that subject to watch it.
Yeah.
Like, I literally felt like the show was doing a good thing. And the show has reached a point where it's literally not doing that anymore. It's just like, we've got you invested. Eat eat the things you like. Literally. It's like trying to feed you and destroy things. That it's like now we know how to break you now that we've gotten you on our side. So it's no longer a show that I can recommend for so many people, because it's like, no, at the end of this, if you have problems with the subject, you're gonna have a worse time with this in the end. It's not gonna work out.
I kind of feel
you're
like
literally gonna watch them eat their animals. Like, come on.
I kind of feel like, yeah, it's one of those things where it felt like it was trying to touch on these things so that it could come out on top and basically show like, hey, these people are dealing with a bunch of crazy stuff, and at the end of the day, if you're dealing with something similar to this, look how like you can also be great. Like, you can come out on top after all of this.
Yeah,
you're still
it really felt like that's
person.
what we were getting out of it.
And it did feel like that's where we were going with everything. But this, especially this last episode, really feels like, okay, even if you're dealing with this, basically, like, good luck. Like, everything's
it's like, no, fuck you.
Everything's gonna go downhill. Everything's out to get you. Yeah. Like,
it only gets worse from here. Like, and it that bothers me.
Yeah.
Like, I was really, really hoping, like, because if the show would have started with that, like, and given us, like, at some point, and that's the thing, right? Nothing going on right now was ever hinted before it happened. Like,
no, yeah.
There was places they could have showed us the girl that they killed in the episode before this episode, in the sleeping tube or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, they could have showed her in the beginning. Like, they could have hinted at this being deeper than it was, and they never did. They've never given us a chance to think that there was gonna be something like this, and now it's just finally hit this point where it's just like, by the way, everything's fucked, and you're like,
yeah. And I feel like if
the show ends in 2 episodes, stop it.
If they were to do it like the way they handled it, basically, I feel like it should have been at the end, and it would have sucked. I mean, it would have been one of those endings that you're like, oh, sure, like, all of this, everything that you guys did was for nothing. And it's like, oh, fuck, that sucks. Like, it's not what you want your audience to feel, but maybe as an artist or as a writer or whatever, maybe that's what you're going for. But the way they handled it, by now having us understand kind of that all of this is for no payoff necessarily, and that once you complete the game, there's worse rewards. Yeah. There's like, you should never have played in the first place. Like, I don't
like, I get some of that, but it's so not what I thought it was going to be.
It's not what we signed up for. This is not the ride. Yeah, this is not the ride we decided to get on. Yeah.
It also changes genres, which is another thing that pisses me off, which is something that you're going to have to wait until you see the next episode. Okay. But like, that was the thing that we touched on earlier. It was like things staying on brand for what they are. Like, what you signed up for is what you get. And that's what, like, I think this show was already talking on dark subjects. So it's like one of those things where it's like, we didn't need to change the premise of the show.
No, yeah.
That we were already signed up for this thing. Like, it was like, in my head, I was like, this is the new Madoka Magica. Like, we're here. This is the new Madoka. Sure, something bad might happen, but it's all going to be worth it.
Yeah.
And like, we're so far from that now. We're so far away from that, and it's not even a remotely fun ride anymore. I just want it to be over.
I think there's like jumping the shark, basically, and then maybe there's like you make your character into a giant space lady that floats through space that's being piloted by like some other dude, basically.
Yeah.
And there's going out there and making a decision that all of a sudden is like, what the fuck's going on? But that's nowhere near where like what this show ended up trying to do. I feel like it tried to do a similar thing where it tried to make you all of a sudden be like, where's this coming from? But yeah, in a way that just only hurt the show, other than making it funny or silly or whatever it might be.
And I will consistently argue in favor of Darling in the Franxx, because that's the reference that you made there. I know. And the idea of like, they do something completely out of there that's completely uncalled. Like, nobody says, like, they're like, oh, I don't know how it got there. I don't know how all this is happening. This is not the show that I signed up for and whatnot. But at any point, does the show never not be a mech show from beginning to end?
Sure,
it is
I'll agree
a
with
mecha.
that.
It is the same genre. characters don't change. They are who they are through the whole show. Like everything is still there. Like contextually, it's the same show as it starts to end. Even though it does do something extraordinary, it's still in this realm of what that show gives you. Egg starts off as a beautiful fantasy piece touching on very sensitive topics and turns into a very much like we start learning that those egg people, like the whole thing is just a giant science experiment.
You're right.
It went from fantasy to sci-fi.
Oh, you're right.
In the course of an episode.
I totally forgot that they explained them. Oh,
yeah,
no.
And it destroys.
Oh, I blocked that on my memory.
So many levels. Like it's no longer a fantasy. Dude. It's literally just a cybernetic sci-fi computer program that is like this whole like it's not even remotely the same show that we started off with.
And it's weird because one of the girls, Naru, I think, I can't remember her name, I'm bad, but she knew the whole time and never said anything about any of this, and like they're like acting like they're these otherworldly creatures or whatever they might be, like, because you don't know what they are, but then just to have her be like, oh yeah, no, I knew. Like,
which means they could have given us this out. They could have given us early on that this 100%. Is where the show was going.
Yeah, 100%.
And they didn't, which means that like the show just straight up lies to us for the first half of the show to give you a twist, which is genre breaking and at best, and what it is, you know, all the things that we've said at worst, like it's just it's not at all trying to. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it ruins itself.
I definitely we'll see where this goes. We were planning to do like the watch party, and like I was hyped for all of this, and like it's so funny how like it's so funny how especially this last episode for me, I haven't watched 11 yet, but this last episode for me was like, oh no, what have I done? Why were we hyping why were we like doing all of this thing? It was best of spring, and now I'm like, oh, I don't know how I feel anymore. But yeah, we're beating a dead horse. Go watch Kids on the Slope instead, you guys. Great show, amazing.
Such a good one. Kids on the Slope, can't recommend it enough.
Ended beautifully. Just
very
finished
people,
that.
People have watched it. Go watch it so you can be a hipster. Like, why not?
I agree. Go add it to your repertoire so you can say it and 3 people will understand what show you're referencing. But
yeah, to all of you out there who say Don Machi is the best anime, like, please watch a different anime.
Oh man! All right, well, we're gonna go watch. We're gonna do a watch party for My Hero Academia season 5 because it's gonna be better than doing this. So, what would you rather do, Wonder Egg or the newest?
Well, I'm currently rewatching Eureka 7 right now and having the best time of my life right now. Rewatching it. It is.
I need to watch that one.
So good a second time or third time. I guess.
Keep wondering if so. Like we have the segment for Wonder Egg, and I know once Wonder Egg's over, we're gonna have like that ending there where maybe watch us try to pick another anime, which we.
Well, luckily there is a new season of anime coming out.
There is
maybe there's something new coming out. Maybe we find something old. I don't know.
Yeah, because for me, I almost want to pick something that you recommend that I haven't seen, just so we know we don't run into this again. But at the same time, I kind of really like watching us devolve from like, super hype, I love this, to like, oh man, what's going on?
I mean, it's real, right?
It's real,
so
exactly. It really just shows like so much true opinion about some. We're not pulling punches on this thing. We weren't hyping this thing up earlier because we thought like maybe, I mean, it wasn't like false hype. It just, you get to watch us devolve into what it is currently just because it's what it is currently.
Yep. It is what it is. And it's one of those things where like, I like it for that. And also I gotta be honest about how I feel about stuff, because I do know people who liked the last episodes, like full send. So
I mean,
good on you if this is still your thing.
I was gonna say, and I don't hate anyone or disrespect your opinion at all for liking these last episodes. So if you do enjoy them and you want to let us know what you thought about them or anything like that, maybe you can change. You won't change my mind, but well,
the thing is, like I said, I don't hate the next episode.
Yeah, you did say that, and so, I mean,
it still could end. It won't be good, it won't be in my top 10. It won't be in my top 20. It won't be in my top 50, but it may land somewhere in the top 100 still.
Yeah,
Like,
I do. You saying you like the next episode leads me to believe that it potentially can end okay. That it won't just fall flat, which is the biggest fear I had from the show.
Next episode will show you that the fact that they gave a filler episode of like revamping stuff is still extra bullshit. I'm still pissed about that. And there's no way to end this in a single episode. There's no way. Good luck.
Time skip, calling it now. All right, last episode, time skip. They're not going to explain anything. I haven't seen 11, so I don't know. All right.
Who knows?
All right, you guys. Well, thanks for hanging out with us for Otaku Flavored and talking figures and all that good stuff. Go open your figures. All right, you guys. Go open all of them. Yeah, I know you have a bunch of them.
Go enjoy your life.
Yeah.
Enjoy things. Have fun.
Make an opening video and show me. Show me you opening your figure. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.